Come on, Windrazor, eat the mushroom. Eat it. Eat it. Come on, this review isn't going to be interesting unless you eat the mushroom. No. Yeah, my co-star here is being a little stubborn, so unfortunately, I think we're going to have to go with what we got. Just roll the intro, I'll work on it. Eat the mushroom, Eat the mushroom, Windrazor! Come on, just open your beak, take a bite, come on, that's it. There you go, there you go. Alright, hold it. Okay, we got it. We're good now. So, technically I already reviewed this toy in its tiny form, but a longtime fan named RuneScape228 was kind enough to send this all the way from the UK, and to be honest, I've been pretty curious about how these turned out. I've heard Windrazor here is the best of the batch, so let's take a look. Again, we're looking at a G1 Cutthroat gene-spliced with a Pteranodon, which is still an awesome combination. At this size, he gets a pretty impressive wingspan of just over 11 inches. Not shabby for a deluxe. Speaking of size, let's get this out of the way. This is your official one-size comparison shot for the video. It is weird seeing them side by side since they really are exactly the same. Well, not exactly. At this size, the details are much sharper and cleaner, not rounded off due to pesky things like physics, making this impossible at a tiny size. Also helping the detail? Pale yellow plastic instead of tan. This helps dramatically. The details aren't washed out like they are on the smaller toy. Everything is crisp and visible. The purple of the wings is the same, and I still love the layered look to these. It's chaotic, but still machine-like. That's pretty Terror-con-y. Other colors are enhanced. We've gone from forest green to sea green, completely changing this toy's green environment. The yellow's also been swapped for gold, another welcome change to make the paint apps stand out more. Speaking of, he's got a new one, purple across his mohawk horn, which is a nice change. Other nice changes? His neck is now yellow. This is good, so his head doesn't look like it's a skinless skull at the top of his body. They also made the tail purple. This is not good, as it makes little sense and looks like he stuck his tail in a pool of grape juice. Oh, okay, I don't know why the tail would be purple. It looks weird, though. One other change? No connection points for combining. My hopes of a giant abominus dashed. Well, yeah, they cancel the line, but this is what seals it. Then there's articulation, and this is the sticking point. All the ball joints have been replaced with universal joints, which I'm actually in favor of, except for the elbows, which were replaced by a bicep swivel. So while there's still some useful motion in the toy, a lot of my favorites were taken out. He can't roost anymore. Not without breaking the transformation, at least, and it doesn't look as good. It still has enough for some useful poses, shoulder, neck, hips. It's just more limited now. Oh, and I should mention weapon, right? He has a mace that can be held in his beak, and boy does it look silly. So overall, it's a better looking but more restricted toy than it used to be. Transformation is just as easy as the small toy, outside some connection points that are much stiffer. This was the whole reason behind upsizing Legion class figures, easier for kids to play with, so I can't fault them, they got this one right. In robot mode, Windrazor is still the swift and svelte type, though at this size no longer the scrawniest of the Terracons. This mode is where the difference between an upscaled knockoff and Hasbro's in-house upsizing is clearly seen. The sharper details are very apparent here, and it's what happens when you have the original CAD model to work with rather than reverse engineering an upscaled mold. As a result, Windrazor's looking way better than he used to. This is clear in the head sculpt, which again the yellow plastic and gold paint bring out far better than the beige and yellow paint. He's got one of those mischievous smirks, so he's either up to something, or he's the Terracon bad boy, destined to put out a solo album, then fade into obscurity until Dancing with the Stars calls him. The brighter colors really work great here too. He stands out a lot more than he did before. Also, the random change to purple shoulders works here, keeping him from being dominated by two colors. Also, to my surprise, he has enough detailing to fit in with the standard Predacons of this size. Honestly, did not call that. I already had the criticism written before I checked. So good on him for catching my poor fact-checking. And while we're at it... Okay, one bonus size comparison. Only because I like you people. Still, it comes back to articulation on this guy. There's no upgrades from his Legion toy in this mode either. Again, it's actually downgraded. Universal shoulders, bicep swivels, and universal hips. That's it. You can't even break his transformation to give him a knee joint because it's so low. Looks incredibly painful. Speaking of painful, here's the mace again, looking far better in his hand than his mouth. It's a mean-looking thing, molded like bundled-up strips of metal with loose ends rather than proper spikes sticking out. It literally looks like he bundled up some shrapnel and jammed a stick on it to bludgeon people with. That's pretty brutal. But even he needs some precision from time to time, so one spike is actually a handle to hold it like a blaster, though with a spearhead on the end, it seems far better at distance stabbing. Too bad he doesn't have the elbows to make that pose happen. So, overall, about what I expected, honestly. The play value is exactly the same, minus some articulation. The colors are much nicer, the sculpting sharper and easier to see. What I can't convey through the camera are the tangible aspects, how solid the toy feels, especially compared to the ball-joint heavy original. It's seriously rock solid. These things honestly fascinate me, that Hasbro would attempt what knockoff companies have done for years, and as the trial run for the simplified lines for kids that would follow in Age of Extinction. It really makes me wish I had Smokescreen or, so help me Primus, Bumblebee, who are more traditional in Legion/Legends designs, so I could see how they feel to play with. Honestly though, there's nothing new to be gained as a toy. It's the same, just bigger. Don't go out of your way for it unless you really loved Windrazor's smaller toy. It's something that should be left to taunt completionists and collectors who just want that rare last wave release.